Okay, well, welcome to this webinar about the MSc in Positive Behaviour Support. We're pleased to have you either attending or watching this webinar on record. So we're going to tell you a little bit about the programme. We'll talk about the PBS programme at the University of Glasgow. I'll refer to it as PBS rather than Positive Behaviour Support, just for ease. We'll talk about practical parts of the programme and also the online learning environment. And there'll be some key information to share with you about the content, the duration of study, fees, and other information as well. If you do have any information, please use the Q&A section if you're watching this live, and we can come back to any questions at the end. Just going to start by introducing ourselves. So I am Anne MacDonald. I lead the PBS programme, and just a little bit of background about myself there on the screen. I've been at the University of Glasgow for the past 5 years or so, where I came and I've been working on setting up this PBS Masters. So I'll just pass you to my colleagues to introduce themselves as well. First of all, Carol and then Melissa.
Hello everyone, so I'm Carol. I'm a learning technology specialist, so I support the PBS programme with all aspects of, well, any technical issues, etc. you have. I'm here to support you. I'll pass over to Melissa.
Hi everyone, I'm Melissa. I am the administrator for the programme, so I will be the point of contact for any admin questions, things like registration, enrolment, and pretty much it's a very wide term, but yes, I'm always happy to help with any inquiries.
Thanks, Melissa and Carol. So we'll tell you a very brief information about the university. So we are quite an old university, as you'll see, but are ranked really well. We're in the top 100 of the world universities and are a member of the Russell Group, which is a prestigious group of universities. And as you can see, we have 8 Nobel laureates connected to the university. So that's just some background about the university and also the chance to show you a very nice picture of the university in spring. So to come to the PBS Masters, this is a new Masters where it's just currently in its second year of full Masters. We were previously running a 1 or 2 year course, but the Masters itself is very new and it's quite a modern way of approaching PBS. We've got a big emphasis on using PBS in practice, and that's a really important part, and I'll talk about that a bit more later. Throughout the programme, there's lots of tools for you to download and to use in your workplace, and lots of support for you to apply that learning in your workplace. And the learning is applied through working with somebody that you support, a focus person, we call that. And that's generally somebody with a learning disability or intellectual disability that you work with or support in some way. We have students from a range of backgrounds. There's people from health settings, both those working in community settings and also working within inpatient services. We've got a range of people from social care settings as well, working with social care providers, and also those who work in schools, particularly with people with additional support needs. So a range of backgrounds in terms of the students who attend. Here's just some information about the structure of the MSc. It runs over 3 years. All the learning is online. So there are options to do a 1-year course, which would give you a postgraduate certificate, a 2-year course, which would give you a postgraduate diploma, or to stay and do the 3-year course for the MSc. The way that it works is that there's 3 courses or modules in the year. So you basically do 1 course per term. So we have 3 terms starting in September, and then there's a spring term and then a summer term. So each term you would be doing 1 course, we call it basically a module. And these courses build the learning consecutively, and you'll see that when I show you the overview. So you build on what you learn in year 1, you build on that in year 2, and then even more so in year 3. So there's lots of practical work and lots of opportunities to apply the learning in practice in your work setting. All of the students who attend are currently working in practice. Most of them are working full-time in practice and doing this course at the same time. So you would be working with lots of other people who are in similar settings to yourself and working with individuals with similar support needs. Here's the overview of the different courses over the 3 years in this very nice graphic that my colleague Carol prepared for us. So you can see there's the 3 years, the PG Cert, PG DIP, and the Masters if you stay on for all 3 years. And then within each year, you can see the different courses. So year 1 is about some foundation skills in PBS, and there's the 3 courses there are understanding and assessing challenging behaviour, where we look at carrying out functional assessments and understanding the message behind people's complex behaviours and developing a formulation diagram to reflect that. Then in second term, it's all about developing and implementing a range of strategies to fit within a PBS plan. And then in third term, it's about implementing those strategies and using practice leadership to do that. So some people choose to leave after that first year, but if you stay on till the diploma, then we take things a bit further. So the first term, we look at complex support needs, complex care needs, and PBS. So that's looking at people with a range of additional diagnoses as well as a learning disability. So that could be additional support needs like mental health needs, it could be people who are autistic, or it could be a range of physical health needs that people have. And just considering how those intersect with people's complex behaviours and with their positive behaviour support needs. We then, in second term, go on and look at a range of advanced PBS strategies that take your learning on first year a bit further and focus more on the behavioural side of PBS. And then in third term, we look at implementing PBS in systems or across whole organisations or whole settings. So rather than just doing individual PBS for one person, this is about looking at the whole system or setting that PBS is within. And then on third term, it's about producing a practice-based portfolio. So in third term, there's much less teaching involved. It's very much about applying your learning in practice. We do have a range of tutorials that students attend where they present their work, and we have academic and practice-based supervision. But essentially, third year, you're working on producing a practice-based portfolio of your work. This is just an overview about the approach that we take to learning and teaching. There are a range of learning and teaching inputs in this programme. So some of the learning is delivered by pre-recorded lectures from the programme team based at the University of Glasgow. We also have a range of guest lectures from various PBS researchers and academics and expert practitioners. So if you work within PBS or have an interest in PBS as a topic, you'll probably know many of these people, and a lot of them have written a lot about PBS over the years. And we also have involvement from practitioners who are expert in their field and from family members, people with lived experience of PBS. In addition to the teaching or lectures, there's other learning opportunities as well. There's a range of online discussions that students take part in. There's practice-based tasks to be done in your own workplace. And then we have live group sessions as well. The live group sessions are held online, and they're every 2 weeks. Generally, these are on a Tuesday, and they last 2 hours. So these are a great opportunity for you to meet with other students, to work on things together if there are some shared PBS tasks to do that you can do with your group rather than just working on your own. It's also a time that students really enjoy having discussion, sharing experiences, and it's really important so it helps you not feel isolated in your learning. So learning online is obviously very different from attending a university. But it's important still to have that sense of community and know that you have people to discuss your learning with and check that you're making progress the way you want, to ask questions if you're stuck in anything. And just, it's quite generally reassuring to have those live group sessions and meet with your colleagues every couple of weeks. Just briefly going to show you a kind of flavour of some of the assignments that are in the programme. I'm not going to go into any detail in these, but it gives you an idea of some of the different assignments that we have. So there are some kind of standard assignments such as writing an essay, but those tend to be in the minority, and most of our assignments are about carrying out some PBS work, for example, developing a functional assessment or developing a plan. And we also ask you to deliver a presentation about your use of PBS at the end of first year. First year also has an emphasis on co-production, and again, that's quite a new aspect of PBS. So we're keen that we're working in a way that includes all stakeholders and key people in somebody's life. So that's just a kind of flavour of first year. And then in second year, here's the types of assignments that we currently have. So this involves different aspects. So for example, recording a podcast about ethical issues, designing a poster for system-wide PBS. And as well as that, there are a couple of essays to be written as well. We also do some work on evaluating PBS in second year, and some of that is reflected in that second assignment there. So evaluating your PBS intervention and writing up your evaluation. And then third year, as I say, is this online portfolio of PBS casework where you work through 3 case studies over the course of the year, and that populates your online portfolio, which is what you're assessed on. Some of the outcomes that we believe you will achieve from doing the Masters here at the University of Glasgow in PBS is to develop and enhance your skills. So people would be coming with different levels of skills, but for some of you that might be about developing new skills. Some of you'll be enhancing ones that you maybe have some experience of already. But it's really about developing those core PBS skills, knowledge and competencies so that you're able to work as a specialist PBS practitioner. So that will include hands-on experience in designing, delivering and evaluating PBS interventions that are effective in improving quality of life for people with learning disabilities. You'll also gain confidence in leading on PBS and supporting other people to implement PBS interventions. So not just being able to do it yourself, but being able to lead on it for other people as well. And that will ensure that your expertise is in demand. As you know, PBS is very current in the UK right now. It's supported by UK and Scottish Government guidance, and this programme is well placed to meet those demands. So just, I guess, to summarise why we're recommending this programme today is that, as I say, it's an innovative approach to studying PBS. It's also designed for busy professionals who are studying online. So it's much more flexible. So people who are busy, who've got lots of other things going on in their lives, both work and personally, it's an easy and flexible way to fit your learning in. So no need to pause your career or move somewhere to study. The online aspect makes it very flexible. The application in practice is I think, unique within PBS qualifications within the UK, and I think that's a really important element, and it's one that students really report that they enjoy. So you can immediately apply your learning in the workplace and ensure that you're making that meaningful difference to people's lives. Gives you an opportunity to be part of this online learning community and to share learning with others. And we believe it will help you gain a qualification that sets you apart and will help advance your career. So I'm going to briefly share some feedback from one of our students, just to hear what they say about the programme rather than just me talking about it. And then I'm going to pass over to my colleague Carol, who will talk a little bit about the technical aspects. So hopefully if the tech works, this will come up with a video.
So I chose the MSc in Positive Behaviour Support at the University of Glasgow because of its focus on implementation and practical skills and implementing everything you learn into practice. So I've been able to improve the quality of life of the people I support, as well as reduce their behaviours of concern whilst learning at the same time, and it's been amazing.
That worked well, so that's good. I'll pass over to
So
Carol now if I can. There, I managed it eventually. Thanks, Carol.
So hello everyone. So as I mentioned in the introduction, I provide technical support for all aspects of the PBS programme. So when you're starting, you may feel a bit overwhelmed with everything. There's a lot to take in. But in terms of technical aspects, I'm here to support you throughout your programme. So we have our main learning platform is called Moodle, and you will spend the bulk of your time in this platform called Moodle. So you don't have to take it all in at once. When you look at Moodle, you might be a wee bit confused, whatever, but you can just experiment, press all the buttons, etc. And I'm always here to help. And throughout your program, you'll have different aspects that will require some sort of technical competency, like creating presentations. Now, you'll all have different experiences when it comes to technical abilities, but no matter what your level is, I'm always here to help and support. Yeah, I think that's just a quick bit about accessibility as well, because that's very important to us, and it's very near to our hearts. We make all our material fully accessible as well. So you can take the material and consume it in a way that suits you. I think that's all for the technical support bit. I'm handing back to Anne.
So some of the benefits of online learning, I think I've mentioned some of these already, but it is very flexible. It lets you study as and when suits you. It's helpful if you're studying in a different time zone as well. And the fact that we have these accessible resources that Carol mentioned means you can download the learning and listen to it when suits you. You can listen to it again. You can edit parts of it if you want to just listen to specific sections. So it's very flexible and easy to use, basically. Carol, do you want to talk through this one?
Sorry, as my screen disappeared. So we have every course that you study has a full reading list, and all the resources are linked directly to the material that you will be reading. So yeah, everything's there for you. So it's broken up week by week, and you'll have access to all those resources online. So there's a mixture of websites to view, articles, journal papers. So we have a broad range of material for you to consume. Just
Thank you,
hand
Carol.
back over to Anne.
And I think we've got another short video.
I think the most valuable thing that I learned from the programme was how to think about challenges from multiple perspectives and really take that critical thinking a step further and think about how do we embed positive behaviour support within organisations and really advocate for the people that you support. I think the
And now pass on to Melissa for the next couple of slides. Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah, so I just want to talk a wee bit about what sort of support is available just more generally by the university outside of the programme itself. I think this is important information that students should have. And the first thing I will say is that online students have all of the same access to support as an on-campus student might have. So, for example, you know, if you want to meet with any of the support services, there will be online options available for meetings. So definitely don't worry about that. Online students have access to the exact same provisions as everyone else. So the first bit of support I wanted to make note of is our student support officer. We have a student support officer at the graduate school who is available to help with any wellbeing concerns that you might have. And again, I know that's a very broad topic, but if you did want to book an appointment with him and just discuss it more generally, if he can't help, he'll definitely be able to point you in the direction of someone who can. Sort of things that he can cover is concerns about finances, concerns about studies more generally, mental health concerns, and things like that. There's also sort of general well-being advice, just at the link that I've put there. Just things like emergency phone numbers, links to the counselling service, and pretty much any resource you can think of is there if you're looking for more general advice at any point. The next bit of support I want to talk about was the disability service. So this is for students that have any sort of disability that might impact on their studies. We do really encourage students to declare at registration if they have a disability, because then that puts them in direct contact with the disability service. So at that point, you would then arrange an appointment with them and they can discuss what support needs they can put in place for you. This can be things like flexibility in deadlines, access to lecture recordings, and extra time in exams and things like that. So yeah, we would really encourage you, if you do have a disability, to make contact with the disability service, particularly if you're coming in around August time and registering. The appointments do fill up very quickly. So if you want provisions in place, I would encourage you to get in touch as soon as you can. And the last one is the career service. The university has a really great career service for any student who wants to get advice on making a CV, interview advice, or just general advice about where they can go after they graduate. And it's available to both current students and graduates as well. So even if you have left the university, but you still want some advice, you can still access it. So yeah, those are just some examples of the support that we can offer you. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was just more general information about applications. So as I've said, applications will be accepted up until the programme start date, which is in the middle of September. We do recommend that you apply sooner than that though. Our induction week is week beginning the 15th of September, and we do like to have students in place and ready to attend the induction. So if you are thinking of applying, I would recommend doing it as soon as possible. But we do accept the applications if you need a bit more time up until September of 2025. There's useful info about how to apply on the programme page. So if you just Google UofG Positive Behaviour Support, it's generally the first result that comes up. There is a tab for how to apply. We only accept online applications, so you'll have to go through the system there. But the tab that I mentioned is quite clear in terms of what you'll need for your application and then where to go if you need any help. If you have any application inquiries, I have put the email address for the Positive Behaviour Support mailbox. If you do want to ask me any questions about the application process or anything more generally about the course, then please get in touch. You can also use the admissions inquiry form, that just gets sent to a member of the admissions team and then they can help you. But if you wanted to just discuss it with me directly, sometimes I'll know the answer or I can pass it to admissions at that stage. So yes, if you do have any questions about the application, then please just let us know.
These are just, I guess, the key facts. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at them anyway, but the duration between the 1 and 3 years, 20 hours, I was just talking about how that it sounds like a lot per week, but actually most of that is the practical application. So that's you using the PBS in your workplace. So that's not actual expected to be study time. A lot of that is the kind of learning in practice. I've also highlighted there that there is a discount for those who are working within the NHS or the within social care settings within the UK. And as Melissa mentioned, it's a September start for the programme. So, and finally, just thank you for joining us today. Hope it's been helpful, and for those of you who are watching on record, I hope it's helpful. And here's just some contact details for anybody if you want to get in touch and find out any more about the programme. Feel free to do that. So I don't think there's any particular questions as far as I can see in the chat.
My query would be, do students get opportunities to network with other students, given the fact that, that they're working professionals?
So they certainly get lots of opportunity to mix with students within the PBS programme in the live sessions that I mentioned. So every 2 weeks there are those opportunities to meet with other students. Out with the programme, there's also lots of networking, online networking happening within our school. So people are part of that wider school and can go along to virtual coffee mornings or those types of things and mix with students in other disciplines who are generally doing programmes related to health and well-being. So there's lots of overlap and interest between those groups.
We have a query from Alexandra in the chat.
Yes, I just see that. Thank you. So Alexandra is asking, how is the practical application in the third year? Considering the topic of, for example, applying PBS into systems, if one is potentially working in a service that already has PBS implemented. So basically it's very bespoke how you apply this in practice, and there'll be lots of support to talk about that individually. So people are all working in different settings, different types of support settings, and as you say, some organisations will be much further along in their PBS journey than others. So we can talk about that in practice when it comes to that stage. So many of the students who come are working in organisations where PBS is already being used, but perhaps there are particular aspects of that they want to focus on. So, for example, rolling out a particular element of PBS, or maybe doing some training on a particular aspect of PBS. So there are lots of ways to think about that depending on the setting, and we could just talk about that nearer the time with students as the work goes along. So I hope that answers your question. There's also a question about funding, which might be, maybe Melissa might be able to answer. So this is about SaaS funding if it's part-time.
Yeah, so there are various ways that students tend to fund the program, and it really depends on the student. SaaS funding is definitely available. So I'll maybe put a link in the chat to the program page again, because that will have more information on different ways that you can fund your studies. The discount is not applied automatically. You would have to get your workplace to confirm that they are going to pay your fees. But that is something that we can discuss near the time at registration. You'd be given instructions at that stage on how to declare that your workplace is paying. Oh, and Anil's put the link in the chat, all about fees. So hopefully that's helpful.
One query we generally get about ODL courses is whether it's very feasible for somebody with a full-time job to do a master's, whether it'll be too stressful, given that you mentioned 20 hours a week. So how feasible is it for somebody in a full-time position to pursue this?
Thanks, Anil. That's a great question. Are you hearing me okay? Yeah. Yes, so all of our students are working in practice, and nearly all of them are working full-time, most of them in health and social care, which, as you will all know, can be quite stressful work settings. So people are generally working hard and doing difficult jobs when they come and study in this course. And yes, it is absolutely feasible to do both. I think what we've tried to develop with this programme is that it'll fit very nicely with what you're working on. It'll fit into your work. And lots of people that come on the course find that they can do lots of the practical work while they're in their work setting. So that really helps if people are able to use, for example, someone they currently support, someone with a learning disability as their focus person, and do pieces of work that probably need done anyway within your work setting. We also find that organisations are generally very supportive of the programme, particularly in the UK, but also, for example, in the States, Australia, throughout Europe, there's a really big support for PBS. So organisations are keen to have their staff qualified and are generally supportive in helping with that, whether it's about giving some study time or allowing you to do the practical work in your, within your work time. So that a lot of students find that as a real benefit as well, because their work and their organisation is keen for them to be getting a PBS qualification. And although the learning does say 20 hours, it's not 20 hours of studying. It's a mixture, as I said, of listening to some pre-recorded learning, which you can maybe sometimes do it. People will do it when they're traveling. You can listen to things on the train. You can catch up on things sometimes in the evening. If you've just got half an hour, you can listen to a lecture. There's lots of interacting with others, in terms of discussions. And again, you can do some of that on your phone. All of these things are usable on the go. So we do find that people just fit it into their life, and actually it seems to work really well. If anyone does feel that things are getting on top of them in terms of, work-life balance is going out of balance and things are getting difficult in terms of their study, then we're really supportive about that. And Melissa and I we'll always meet with students and chat about things we can do to support them, and if there's things that they need in terms of extra support. So we're there to help with any of that if those issues do arise.
I think I would just like to add something as well. I think on the programme, we have a strong community each year, and there's lots of engagement and just a really community feel. Like as Anne says, there's lots of opportunities to interact. You've got discussion forums, the live sessions, so you will be working together as well. So lots of opportunity for engagement.
Yeah, thanks, Carol. I think that's really true, and it's so important when you're doing an online course that you don't end up feeling isolated, because that's when difficulties can arise if you begin to feel isolated or out of your depth, and if you feel that you've got no one to turn to. So it's really good to have that really strong sense of community, that you're not working on your own. And particularly if you're coming back to learning after a break, that can feel really, really daunting. So it's good to get that chance to catch up with other students and find out how they're getting on. And I think that's a lot of what students get from the live sessions. We use breakout rooms, so people get into a breakout room and have a bit of a chat. And obviously they'll be talking about the work and the task that I've given them, but I think they do also spend some time just catching up and seeing how each other's getting on, and asking each other, how did you get on with that, or were you stuck with it too? And those kind of conversations are really helpful, I think, and really reassuring, so you don't feel like you're the only one. So it's a good chance to ask the questions you maybe wouldn't want to ask in a great big group, or you wouldn't want to put online. You can just do it when there's a few of you in a breakout room. So I think people enjoy that as well. Okay, thank you. That's an additional question there. So what does a week of study look like? For example, what are the webinars or workshops or reading or essays or projects, and any tips on how to structure the week? So yes, the programme tends to work in 2-week blocks. So the online learning will open generally on a Monday morning, and that'll be for the next 2 weeks. And those 2-week blocks are what students should work through, and then there will be a live session that will reflect on those 2 blocks of work. So there'll be a couple of topics covered, 2 main topics covered in those 2 weeks, and then the live session, we spend that time discussing the learning from those 2 blocks of work. So we tend to work in that kind of way, with a couple of weeks at a time, and then every couple of weeks there's an online discussion as well that features in with the learning. So we would be suggesting that students contribute to that online discussion, and within that couple of weeks block, there'll also be some practical work to be done. So maybe an assessment to take back and carry out in your workplace, or maybe a plan to review and monitor those sorts of things. So there's quite a structured approach to the course, in that every 2 weeks you've got your new topics that you're working on, and that will relate to your online discussion, your actual practical work in your workplace, and then the live sessions when you come together. I also send out quite a lot of guidance each week to remind people what they're working on, to suggest what tools they should be looking at each week, so that there's a kind of clear structure for people, just to kind of provide that signposting. And there is allocated reading for each week as well. So each week there'll be a specific reading list where you can access all the different resources. Those are all linked nicely online, so you can just click on the link and open up the chapter of the book or the academic research paper and have a look at that. And sometimes, for example, you'll be asked to read a paper, and then we'll discuss it in the live session, so that there's a kind of joining all of that together in terms of the different parts of the learning. So hopefully that gives you an idea about the structure of your week. When you do the learning and when you listen to the lectures is kind of largely up to you, but we try and suggest that you keep up with the blocks of work and do the 2 weeks work, so that you're prepared for the live session and have done the learning before you come along to that session. Okay, there's another question. Thanks for that. So this question is there any preparation as you do before the course starts in September, such as a recommended reading list? So my main answer to this would be no, there's no real need for preparation. The reading that you will get early on in the programme will be quite introductory. So we start with, for example, defining what is PBS. So we'll be looking at some of the literature that's around about that, some of the recently published definitions of PBS. So all of that will be given to you in the first couple of weeks, some of that introduction. If you are super keen to get started, some people do like to buy some books. I know that's not required, because we'll have the books online in the library, so you can just click and access the chapters. But I know some people do like to buy physical books. So if you do, if that's you and you like to get some books in advance, you can just contact me and I can give you advice on a couple of things to get. But there's absolutely no requirement to do that. We'll be working through the reading, together once we start in September. The main preparation I would suggest is have a think about who your focus person could be. It's important you've thought that through, and that you have somebody within your workplace that you could use as your focus person, someone you support anyway, and someone that whose family is happy for you to do that, or for the person themselves if they're able to give consent. So have a think about who your focus person would be. But basically it's someone with support needs, someone with an intellectual disability that you support, who you think would benefit from having some positive behaviour support input. And the other preparation that can be really useful is to plan your diary. So that could be around your work diary, just maybe talking to your organisation, to your line manager about things like the deadlines for your assignments, and making sure they don't clash with big pieces of work you're doing at work. It can also be really useful to talk to your family at home and think about your family and your personal diary of things like family holidays, and thinking about assignments and deadlines and the timing of the programme. So just having a look at what's coming ahead in terms of the programme and how it's going to fit into your personal life and your work life. I think that's a really useful way to prepare for the course. Great. Well, I hope people have found this useful, whether you've watched it live or going to watch it on record. So any other questions you'd like to ask or anything you want to check out, do just get in touch, and each of us will be happy to help out if we can. Thanks very much, everybody.